All right, so for this demo, I'm going to show us how to imitate a stencil spray paint in Procreate. And again, I think this could be easily worked out in Photoshop with various layers, a masking layer, and then a clipping mask, and then also working with the spray paint brushes that you can find. So I'm going to go over to Procreate. And I brought over, like a grungy wall texture to be my background. I have some other layers here that I'm going to ignore because I want to show you how to do this from the start. So what we're going to do is create our stencil, and then we're going to use that stencil as a clipping mask and then play with the spray paint brushes. So I'm going to begin working with white paint. I could work with any color and then make it white. The reason I'm using white is because eventually I'm going to multiply that clipping mask layer so that it blends in with the layer below. So I'm just working with a studio pen. Anything could work here. I just want kind of clean edges, as I'm imagining this is something that's like cut out of paper or vellum or something. So also working really simple, so I'm going to stylize my pie here, and maybe I need to bring up, or shoot, I'm going to get rid of my background layers for a minute just so I can see what I'm doing. So I just turned those visibility off. Okay, and so I'm going to just, draw this funny looking pie. By drawing an outline of the shape and then filling it. Oops, if that happens to you, maybe your shape isn't closed. Sometimes you also have, if your shape, you might have to adjust your color fill, which I can show you how to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to make a nice triangle for the surface of my pie, and then I'll do another shape down here. With stencil art, there's always like some connection. So there's always lines inside that are connected to the outside, because it's like you're imagining X-Acto knife cutting out your image, and so things need to stay intact. So I'm also going to give myself an edge this time. I don't always do this, but imagining that that's the end of my stencil, and then outside it's filled in. So my stencil is the area that's transparent, and then the area that's white is kind of like what was cut out or didn't exist on the outside, right? And so that's just a very simple stencil. And maybe I'll, just for fun, am I working with the same brush? Okay, cut out something here in the middle that's like imitates my whipped cream. But probably that would be attached somehow, so let me make sure I do something like that. Okay, so here is my stencil. And so I'm going to do similar to the other video. I'm going to put a layer right on top of that, and then I'm going to touch that layer and make it a clipping mask. So wherever I paint, it's only going to reveal the paint where I see white right now. And so I'll go to my brushes, and we're going to work with spray paints. And you can test these out, layer them in different ways. I like the medium nozzle and the fat nozzle, and sometimes the burst and the flicks. So I kind of layer them and combine them. I'll start with medium nozzle, and I'm going to choose, work with this bright orange color. I like to also work with a really large brush, but you can test out what that looks like. And so if I'm on my clipping mask, it's only going to reveal it where I spray in the white areas. So I'm going to go back to my spray paints. I'll add a little bit of a fat nozzle in place. Ooh, maybe that's too big. And then I'm going to add some splatter around and some flicks. So I'm just kind of light touching around, and you know, just like it would come outside of the stencil sometimes, if our stencil isn't very big, it would look like that. Okay, so the final step then is to turn on our background, and again I want to lower that opacity. Oh, I need to turn on my background color also to help with that. And then I need to, my pie stencil layer, I need to make that blend into the background, because right now it is only revealing the background where it's cut out. And so I'm going to use the blending mode. If I click touch in on the layer, it gives me my blending modes, and I'm going to work with multiply. So the white just becomes part of the background, blends in. And there's my stencil. There's my spray painted stencil on the wall.